Hello Seawolves! It's Saturday, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for all your comments on last weekend's episode. I had super much fun, helping out, putting that beautiful V65 in the water and actually sailing it was really great. And more updates on childhood in this episode. And it's also kind of a special day because this week I splashed my own boat Spirit, so more on that also later in this episode. And that means that the next episode of Solo episode 4, my How to Solo Sail series, I'm actually taping the next episode probably tomorrow, so look forward to that somewhere over the next week. So I'm really happy that I can finally start to continue that series and show you guys all about how to kind of start and and do and grow as a solo sailor if that's what you're interested in. Then very good news about kind of the childhood and the Roundeuroperace, and that's really also what this episode is about, because we all really love that longer term adventure racing. And it just so happens that the ocean race, or the kind of the 2001 ocean race that was postponed to 2022, did create, or the same organization created, the Roundeuroperace kind of as a stand-in, to keep racing going this year. And fortunately, that race is almost about to start, or at least the prologue of that race is soon going to be starting. And fortunately, Seawolves is also kind of going to be part of the whole circus kind of around that, as we are kind of really working together with the team Childhood now, and also hoping to work together in the Imoca class with the 11th hour racing team later. As you all know, I interviewed Charlie Enright also during the Van de Globe, when the Van de Globe was going on. So we're looking forward to kind of be reporting on both sides in that race. And in this particular episode, I want to look forward to that race and actually, show you guys a little bit what is going to happen, what the prologue and the race is going to look like. COVID situation pending, of course, but it looks like it's all going to happen. So I'm really looking forward to it. And one thing that's also going to be in this episode at the end is the very good news that we have moved the Seawolves Clinic together with the Team Childhood now, and I've reseated something like 95% of the people from the original event. And that means that we now have, because we have actually 2 extra days, so some of the people on the waiting list are have gotten an email that they can also sign up, and that means that ultimately we still have something like 25 or so new spots available for those events. And so after this episode today, if you look on the website seawolvestv.com and then look for the Volvo 65, the V65 clinic button, there you will find the new details on the dates and the clinics, and you can actually book those. So that's really exciting news. More on that in the end of the show. Now let's get to the Roundeuroperace and what is going to happen there. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot something. You thought I forgot, didn't you? Here we go. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1.
Hello Seawolves. This is my boats video. And this is a Star class from the 1972. So Simba 5. She's specially built for the Olympics of 1972. And the skipper was David Forbes and his crew John Anderson. And they won with this boat the gold medal. There is a special story about this boat, because this boat is designed by Pelle Petersen, a well-known sailor, a Swedish sailor, and he did a world championship in the Star, still wooden stars, and there was really bad weather and a lot of stars sank, and a few people even died in that world championship. might be in a European Championship, I'm not sure. And then he sat down with his crew and decided to design a fiberglass star who is unsinkable. So this star is basically unsinkable, but don't trust the words, but it's supposed to be, and specially designed for him for the Olympics. And he built 3 initially, one for himself, one for someone in Switzerland, and the other one went somewhere which I don't know. But David Forbes and John Anderson are 2 Australians. They both sailed together on Gradle 2 at the America's Cup. Not great success there, but then they teamed up to do some star sailing, and they actually won everything there was to win in Australia. But then they went to Europe with their Australian boat, and they figured that their boat was way too slow. They decided to make a really difficult move and start renting a boat, and that was this boat from a man from Switzerland. Heinz Mauer is his name. David Forbes and John Anderson rent this boat for the Olympics, and so they become a really underdog team. But at the first race, they already managed to find themselves on top of the list, and in the end they won the game. And Pelle Petersen participated in the Olympics as well, and he became second in that Olympics. We bought this boat 3 years ago as a sort of a bargain. It was a few €100, and it was really in really bad shape. It had been sitting in a yard for 15 years, and we restored the boat, and now she's back to her formal glory. And right now we just picked her up from the yacht club to get her back in winter storage, because it's winter right now here in the Netherlands. And now we'll show you around the boat real quick. So on this camera angle you can see the heart shaped chine line on this hull, and the keel and skeg combination. This is how we transport the mast and stuff, and how the deck looks like. And there's a few pictures from when we launched the boat. If you want to see more of our projects, please follow @Venacrew on Instagram, and we keep you posted.
Ah, nice. Okay, now we're ready to get into the Roundeuroperace. The Roundeuroperace is going to be raced in the Volvo 65 and Imoca 60 classes, and these Imoca 60s are going to be the crewed Imoca 60s, so they'll have 4 or maximum 5 crew on board, as opposed to in the Vendée Globe and in the regular Imoca 60 class, where this is of course a solo or double-handed class. So it will kind of be a unique event, and really a precursor to the Oceanrace, where we're also going to have the 4 or 5 man crew in the Imoca 60 class, where we're going to see kind of how these boats will perform when they're actually crewed by a multi-person crew. And yeah, I think the results will be quite interesting as far as speed, also because the Oceanrace is going to go around the world again, not in one time, but still the legs are long enough so we can make some comparisons with the Vendée Globe. And we all know from many of the solo skippers of the Imocas that because they're alone, they're definitely not always able to push the boat as hard as they would if they would be with a team and would be able to sleep a bit more and all this different things. So we'll probably see, or we'll at least get a good image of the performance difference between, let's say, a 1-man, 2-man team, or an actually 4 or 5 person crew on board of an Imoca. Although the way that the Imocas are designed, they really weren't built for multi-person crews. If you watched the interview with Charlie Enrider a little while ago with me, we also talk about the fact that the sleeping accommodations and everything, Charlie kind of explains that they really tried everything from building in stretchers to using bean bags and all kinds of different placement of things to figure out how to make it a little bit doable on board with 4 or 5 people, because the Imocas really were, especially interiors, were really envisioned for a short-handed or single-handed crew. So it will be interesting to see, especially psychologically, how that will be on longer legs. But in the Roundeuroperace, the legs will mostly be maximum about like 3 days or something, like 300 mile hops. 600 miles I think is the longest one, so they won't be super long, so we won't be seeing too much of the real long-term effects of that in the Roundeuroperace yet, but it will be interesting to see what happens there. And so the other class that's going to be raced in the Round Europe is the Volvo 65. Team Childhood is of course one of the participants, and we're going to keep a close eye on everything that's happening there. For the astute observer, you may have seen that the boat is completely white right now in the last episode, because they removed much of the branding to get it ready for kind of its new coat as it enters the race. And that new coat, and also I believe an extra, so Childhood is staying, but an extra sponsor is, I believe, coming on board. I don't know who it is yet, because all above my pay grade this week. And so in a few days the boat's going to get its new wrapping to get it all ready for the Roundeuroperace, and I'm also going to be there when that happens. So in the next episode you can expect to see kind of, you know, how the branding is going to look for the new ship, which will be pretty cool to see also. And we'll also do the technical tour, since we didn't really have enough light to really show all the different details, and we were kind of in a hurry last time in the last episode. But so those are the two classes. Now there is the actual race, which is going to be passing 4 European cities, starting in Lorient and ending in Genoa, Italy. And there's also the Prologue, which is going to be starting in, I have to pronounce this right, Klaipeda, and is going to end in Stockholm in Sweden, which is going to be more or less 300-mile hops. And so that first Prologue race, there'll also be some import activity, most likely is going to start on the 9th of May. And since today is the 9th of April, that kind of marks the 1 month mark where we literally have 30 days until the race starts. So every episode I'm going to dive into kind of the preparations together with the Team Childhood, but also, you know, visiting some other teams and looking how they are doing and how they are preparing to kind of get us ready for that next adventure race. I'm really looking forward to it. And so let's get into what the actual route and the actual hops are. So we're going to start with the Prologue. Like I said, it's going to start on the 9th of May, and we're going to go from Klaipeda to Gdynia, if I hope I pronounced that right. And then from Gdynia we're going to be, well, there'll be some import activity of course again. Then on the 12th of May, most likely, again these dates are a little bit tentative still, we're going to depart for Stockholm, and that's you know, where the Prologue ends. So 3 hops literally to get there, and each of them 300-mile long, and in each city there will be kind of an import race event like we're kind of used to from the original Ocean Race. So that's going to be a really cool Prologue to look forward to, racing in the wild waters of Northern Europe, which is kind of interesting because it's not really seas that you see a lot also with other vloggers, and so it's you know, very beautiful areas, fjords, mountains, all of that good stuff. So I'm really looking forward to all the pretty pictures, and also the very technical sailing with all of the shallow areas. And it's very much not a typical, they're very much not typical open ocean legs, let's say. So it's very technical, even though the legs are relatively short. It's going to be very technical sailing with a lot of land wind factors also. So you know, the land effect of kind of falling and rising winds with temperatures and all these different things. Going to be very different sailing from actually ocean sailing. So that'll be a very cool aspect, I think, as far as the weather and the different ways that I'm going to try to report on, actually showing the different weather influences and how that works with the race. So looking forward to that. And yeah, that's what the Prologue is going to be. Then for the actual Roundeuroperace. So after the Prologue, now originally there was going to be a stopover in The Hague here. Unfortunately, because of the continuing COVID situation here, the local government decided that they don't want to risk doing an event in May. So unfortunately, that's not going to happen. So that particular stopover got canceled. Hurts my heart because we would have had a beautiful event literally an hour away from here. So really saddens me to see that go, but I guess it is what it is. And that brings us to Lorient, so the start in France, where we're going to be departing on the 29th of May, and the previous weekend there will be import activity, an import race, probably coastal race, so that's going to be exciting. Again, similar concept as the ocean race. Then they're going to depart to Cascais, so 670 mile 3 to 4 day leg, so that should be very interesting. Then in Cascais, same thing, there'll be an import race. Then on the 6th of June, they're going to start from Cascais to Valencia, and then from Valencia they will depart more or less on the 13th of June to Genoa, where they should arrive somewhere around the 16th or 17th. So again, 670 mile or so a hop, so 3-4 days of racing again. And then of course in Genoa there will be another import race and the final award ceremony. So pretty cool race to look forward to, some real good old-fashioned adventure racing, as I think we all really love. So I'm very much looking forward to start reporting on that. And as I said, in next episode we're going to show you some more about all the activities going on with Team Childhood, and maybe also already a little glimpse of what is going on at the 11th hour racing team, who are already training right now in Lorient. So look forward to that. Then to the other extra good news, like I mentioned at the head of the show, my boat Spirit is finally back in the water again after no less than 8 weeks of lots and lots of magnificent sanding activity. I was able to finally get into actually refixing my beautiful hull, which is now super smooth and beautifully recoated and everything. My boat is faster than ever, so I'm really excited to start filming again on solo, as I said before, and filmed a little bit to show you guys all how it went with putting her back into the water, and especially also the trip back to Amsterdam, which was weather-wise quite interesting. And actually, for those who are kind of still new to sailing, watching this, there were a few kind of interesting weather aspects to my little delivery of the boat. It was a few towns over here back to Amsterdam, since Holland is kind of famous for its unique weather pattern, let's say, which in turn can kind of teach us a lot about kind of the bigger weather system. So I thought it would be interesting to show you guys this, and also input a few bits of information, as you can very clearly see some of the weather systems that I was moving through. And if you don't have a lot of experience with that, I think it'll be a very nice, clear picture to teach you guys a few things about the kind of weird weather that we have here sometimes. So let's get started with putting back Spirit back into the water.
what you become.
Welcome on board. It's 2 days later and the weather is pretty cool outside. It's sunny and at the same time snow. And the weather continues to be ever more lovely with the second. The wind is howling. Unsure if I'm still gonna make it out, but we'll see what happens. Probably just a squall, snow squall, but yeah. Looks pretty intimidating anyway. It's pretty cold, it's around 0 degrees, 0 to 2 degrees. And we have 25 to 35 knots of wind across the lake. And so to me the fine job of sailing the boat home to Amsterdam today. Now it's a pretty short hop, it's about maybe 3 hours or so over the lake that I know really well. So it's gonna be fine, but it's gonna be an interesting sail from a solo sail perspective, since it's my first time going out now with the boat in its new condition. And gonna be some pretty strong winds, so it should be a fun sail. However, I do have a appointment later in Amsterdam to look at some of my sails, so I don't have a lot of time to waste, so I don't want to deal with a lot of sail changes and stuff. So I'm probably gonna be sailing pretty small and safe and conservative. Let's say, to just get there. Shouldn't be too crazy spectacular or anything, but I'll take you guys along for the ride. And right now my first job is to clean everything up a little bit, because the boat is still full of stuff from the renovations, let's say. So I'm gonna get busy and store everything securely, as we are going to have a pretty bumpy ride later. So see you in a bit. So this is not really ideal, but this neighbor put their line really tightly over my stern line here, so I have to pull this through. Clutter while solo sailing, never a good idea, so cleaning. Now here you see me getting into the really tricky bit of actually maneuvering the boat out of its slip, because I'm on my own. So there's 25 to 35 knots of wind coming straight from my port side, more or less hitting me on the nose of the boat, but a lot to the port side. And so that means that when I actually loosen the front spring here, the front truss I should say, the nose of the boat will immediately swing to the starboard side and right into that beautiful Harbor Rossi that's parked right next to me. So finding a way on my own to actually leave the slip without that happening was the challenge of the day. Picking up again, so probably missed this previous window, but it's okay. I'll just wait out the next squall before getting out there. But you can see that the boat is now, because I have to start solo, right? So the boat is now a lot closer to the shore. And basically what I can do is I can hopefully get this loose by myself. Yeah, I can do that. So I will pull the boat a little bit towards me. I'll loosen this, but I'll keep it in my hand so that the nose won't, you know, fly all the way in the wrong direction, like that. And then I'll hop on board and get out of here. Maybe that's the plan anyway. So I'm repositioning the fenders, because they also can, you know, hook behind the pole like that, for example, and kind of get the boat stuck, which I don't want if I'm alone. So, you know, pretty complex start always when you have this kind of poles to deal with, but it's doable in the end. To get it done, but it can be a little bit tricky, because that's easier for me to get rid of that than you know, if it's kind of knotted, you know, more complexly. Then I'm gonna make my way backwards that way, and you know, then we should be okay. Everything looks okay. I got the stick here in case I need it, All my lines are out of the way. Just gonna get my solar panel down just in case that gets snagged onto anything. We don't want either, you know, there. So I just missed that particular launch window because it's really tricky with the kind of the side front wind to have enough time to maneuver out of here before my nose, you know, might slam into my neighbors or whatever, which I don't want to do. So I was kind of trying to make a rope construction so I can control everything from back here. But now I have this kind of massive dark cloud moving towards us, so that's probably going to hit us first. So I'm getting ready to, everything is pretty much ready to go now, so I'm gonna wait out that particular storm for a second. Hopefully it won't take more than an hour to cross over, and then we should have another lull to get out of here. So until then, it's time for some coffee. Beautiful, calm, sunny weather on this side. Dun, dun, dun. That's about to hit us. But the good stuff is brewing. And it's here, you can hear the singing. My. You have to admit, looks like great sailing weather. And I made it out here. I couldn't really film because I had to suddenly quickly take a lull in the wind to get out of here. But I'm on my way. Finally. So over there in the distance I can already see the next storm coming. So that is going to go that way. So I'm going to try to veer off a little bit here to the south to see if I can avoid that. This particular place is really shallow, so I have to be really careful here where I go, because it's less than a meter in many places, so really problematic if I get stuck here, and really hard ground. But once I'm a little bit more out near to the island there, then we'll have a little bit more depth to play. Such beautiful weather! Doesn't really get any better! Lovely! I'm not putting any sail up because it's like over 40 knots, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense, and it's like motoring right into the wind right now, and I really have to get to my appointment, so if I actually sail up into the wind it would take too long, so I'm just motoring straight to Amsterdam. But the view is still pretty spectacular. Whoa. Beautiful. Completely soaked. And there in the distance is Amsterdam, so we're almost there. 45 minutes I think. I don't know if you can see it, but there's like millions of birds over there flying. And if you look behind the birds, you can actually see the massive of a mother storm, hailstorm that is heading straight for me. Looks like I'm not going to be able to outrun this one. So I'm in the middle of a hailstorm here. Slowly moving through it. So big hailstorm there. The whole boat is covered, so I had to actually steer with my back into the hail because I just couldn't see anything. But now it's over. So now I'm very quickly going to get to the bridge before the next squall comes through to tie up so I can get through the bridge and through the locks and actually get into Amsterdam. So I landed in my usual slip again. So all good. Wow, what a little delivery trip that was. Really awesome time, feel great. Now it's time for some hot cocoa. So everything is ready for the next trip, which is going to be in a few days, so really looking forward to that. Some actual real sailing, but I'm safe and sound, cleaned up a little bit finally in the marina. So I'll see you all next week for the next Sea Wolves sailing adventure. Ciao!